where do you think we're at with this? If, let's say, when the bulk of these came forward, if Deshaun Watson and Rusty Hart just, threw in the white towel or waved the white flag, whatever the hell it is, and just went, you know what? All right, I admit I got a problem. I'm wrong. I was wrong. I mistreated people. I didn't mean to hurt feelings, but, whatever, sexual desires took over, blah, 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 blah. And they settled it and got it out of the way during the season last year. Where do you think we're at right now with Deshaun Watson?
Well, let me back it all the way up to the beginning.
Right.
Because the criticism I had as it relates to Watson's lawyers, and it wasn't Rusty Hardin at the time. I want to be clear on that. I'm not blaming him for this. When the initial case emerged, pre-litigation, there was a communication made to Athletes First, the firm that represents Deshaun Watson, alerting them to the potential for the lawsuit. I think Ashley Solis was the very first one. She's the first one who came forward in her name, and I think she was the first one who, through Tony Busby, contacted Watson's firm. Demand was made of $100,000 to settle her claims. Now, anybody who knows anything about how the legal system works knows that that's an opening offer. That is necessarily negotiable. And the way that the dance goes, the response would be, should be, but wasn't in this case, well, 100,000 is a little high. How about 20? How about 90? How about 30? How about 80? And $100,000 as an opener is a signal that this can be resolved between $50,000 and $75,000.
Right.
If they would have engaged. But they didn't engage. They refused to make an offer.
Oh, my
They
gosh.
basically said $100,000 is too much. Make another offer, which is the kiss of death when it comes to negotiating with lawyers. Anybody, it's like the triple dog dare etiquette, right? There is an etiquette to negotiating among lawyers, and it becomes very transactional because that's the way you process these claims. And the very basic tenet is you never expect anyone to bid against themselves. Even if they had just offered $5,000. Well, you know what? We'll show as a gesture of good faith, we're willing to discuss this. Here is our offer. We need more information from you about what actually happened. And they blew that opportunity. And then, Chris, see, if you settle her case, and that's the end of it. Number one, her case goes away and it never becomes filed and nobody ever knows about it. Number two, you avoid pissing off Tony Busby.
Yeah, right.
See, what they did, they acted arrogantly, they acted dismissively, and they pissed off the wrong guy. Because then what did he do? He went out and found more people who experienced the same treatment from Deshaun Watson. If they just would have resolved the Ashley Solis thing, this guy moves on with his life. He moves on. And if there are others that somehow come forward, you do the same thing with them. You settle it. That's one of the things that I was reminded of at the time this all first came up. Claims like this get made against NFL players and other professional athletes all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like paying taxes. It's a cost of doing business because you don't want one of these things to turn your life upside down.
That's right.
Whether there's merit to it or not, you make it go away because if it blows up, you have no idea what the damage is going to be. And my guess is guys have been more willing in the past 15 months to resolve these things, recognizing if I turn my nose up at this opportunity, I'm going to have a Deshaun Watson situation. Not that there's other guys out there that have 22, 24, 26 claims against them, but it's better to end this before it becomes public. So that happens all the time. And it's not extortion. People call it extortion. No, because you're planning to file a lawsuit. This is pre-filing negotiation. And he had his opportunity then, and they blew it. His representatives at the time blew it by being dismissive and by insulting Tony Busby and pissing him off and motivating him to go find all these other people. That's where this thing went off the rails, Chris.
Agreed. I got to imagine there's some regret there, or at least some second-guessing yourselves and going, man, what would it be if we would have handled these things earlier, and where would we be at? I got to think you're farther down the road, and maybe the light at the end of the tunnel as far as playing football is a lot more visible than it is right now. And I don't disagree with you.
You're not even scrutinized by the league.
No.
If you knock these things out before they become lawsuits, before they become criminal investigations. The league never even knows about it. Now,
Right.
you're supposed to disclose to the team any potential. Sure, Jan. If you resolve this quickly and quietly, it's gone, it's over, it's done. And it's very easy to justify saying, "Well, we didn't know that this was the kind of we didn't know." Sorry, because you're never even gonna have to say it because nobody's gonna find out.
Yeah, no, you're right. Or if they do find out and it's limited there, okay, yeah, you might get in trouble, but it's gonna be a slap on the wrist as compared to what you're going right now. Right now, we're going down that's where I just don't understand the approach. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I would be one that would sit here right now and go, oh, my gosh, I'm shocked he's actually going to play a football game in 2022. Like, I don't see how that's happening as of right now. I don't. And where we sit right now, to a point you made last week, and if we're going to go to court with all these things, I'm starting to wonder if 2023 is going to be affected. I really am.
It will be. You're not going to get these cases done next
that's
year.
where I just
You're not going to try
understand.
26 cases in the summertime.
At some point, I just feel like, again, I know this is something you're saying a lot, Mike, here, but you got to take one for the team here. Innocent, not innocent. You got to move on with your life if you really want to play football and get out there again. And that's where I don't understand the approach, because right now you're treading water. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere, and nothing's going to happen. And they're crazy to think that, we might get in and, play some substantial football time this year. There's no way.
And you got to accept responsibility for your role, your actions that created a situation where claims like this could be made. Now, we had the initial effort to resolve the cases initiated by Tony Busby. The first case that was brought, the first claim that was brought, that was dismissed. He was insulted, and then we had 22. In April of last year, there was an opportunity to settle the cases. There was a fight over whether or not there would be an NDA. Usually the one writing the check wants the NDA. In this situation, the one getting the money wanted the NDA. The plaintiffs wanted the confidentiality agreement, and Rusty Hardin and Deshaun Watson were insisting on no confidentiality because they wanted to do a victory lap
and
saying,
tell the story they want to tell.
He got peanuts.
Right.
We'll tell our story, and he got peanuts, which means these were meritless claims. This was a nuisance lawsuit. We made this go away because we didn't want to have litigation for the next 2 years. So they blew that opportunity.
Blew it.
And then the other one that we know about, and before we play the clip, let's just be clear. This wasn't the product of reporting. This was contained in one of the lawsuits that was filed recently. I think it was lawsuit number 23. The allegation, the reality that there was an effort made last year in conjunction with the effort to trade Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins, where all of the cases would be settled at the behest of Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins. And the statement was made in lawsuit number 23 that each of the plaintiffs were offered $100,000. 18 were ready to go. 4 decided not to. Watson decided it's all or none. So none got settled for $100,000. That issue came up yesterday. Here's the question that was posed to Watson and the answer he provided.
When we talked to you, you told us that you would not settle out of court. Yet after that, a report came out that your team offered $100,000 to each of these accusers. So which is the truth? Was that money offered or not?
I feel like, there's a lot of articles that's out there and facts and things like that. There was a process that was going on back in November with another organization. So I can't really get too far in details with that. But, with the process that was going on before I became a Cleveland Brown, that's a whole nother discussion.
I mean, it's not a denial. It's
kind of like he's trying to say a team was trying to lead him that way. That's why I was doing what I'm doing.
That's how they try to sell it now. That's where they try to parse words. We didn't want the settlement. The Dolphins did, right? But the Dolphins aren't parties to the lawsuit. The Dolphins were very clear. If you want to be part of this team, if you want to get this trade done, you got to settle the cases. And you have to have an NDA. Period. I know you don't want an NDA, but you better have an NDA or we're not doing these deals. So he wanted to play football, so he was willing to do these deals. That's why It's one of the reasons why I think, Chris, if they would put him on paid leave, if the league puts him on the commissioner exempt list until the cases are resolved, he's going to get these cases resolved. Because if this is the thing that's standing in the way between him and playing football, if these cases are the things that are preventing him from playing, he'll get them resolved. The problem is $100,000 isn't going to get it done now. I don't know if you have to add a zero or not to each of those, but it's not going to get it done. It's going to be more expensive. And you still face suspension without pay on the back end. So it's not like, we settle these cases, we resolve these claims, and I'm playing football week 1. It's too late for that.
I would think so. I would think the price has gone up, and especially if, yes, the fact that he got paid last year, and if he gets put on paid leave again this year, where, again, it's going to be, he's already made a lump sum of money already. I would think that all of that has gone up. No doubt about it. He's in a tougher spot. The court of public opinion is more aggressively, behind the 24 plaintiffs now than it was Deshaun Watson, to where I would think, again, that makes the price tag go up. And then there's the desperation aspect of, hey, we know you want to get this done, which is not going to give them as much, negotiating wiggle room there. So that's right. I don't really understand. I don't get it, honestly. I'm a little bit at the point of like, what the hell is Rusty Hardin and Deshaun Watson trying to do right now? That's where I'm a little bit at right now.
Well, the cynic would say Rusty Hardin's trying to get paid by the hour for as long as he possibly can, and I'm not saying that. But I
hear you.
Look,
I know.
He's getting paid by the hour, and this is continuing. He's got a whole team. Can you imagine how much Deshaun Watson has already spent?
I can't imagine.
Legal fees.
You're right.
Over the last 15 months.
I'd
say the over/under is $7.5 million.
I was going to say. It's probably somewhere. If you paid the plaintiffs and some of these people, it's probably not that far off what he's paying in lawyer bills. I wouldn't.
And it's just a wild guess. I don't know what Rusty Hardin charges by the hour, but these cases are taking a lot of work.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.